So semaphore variable is an integer. So what is the first criteria? First criteria will say that it is an integer variable. It is an integer variable. This is number one. Number two, it can perform two operation. One operation is called PS and another operation is called VS. So it can perform two operation. One is called PS, another is called VS. So suppose a semaphore variable is S. Suppose you consider a semaphore variable is S, then what will be the operation on PS? So in the PS, the operation will be while S less than equals to 0, do skip. Okay. Then S equals to S equals to S plus S equals to S minus 1. S equals to S minus 1, and so this is the operation in the PS operation, and I am coming later what is the exactly meaning of this operation, but I seen that I already told you that semaphore is an integer variable. It can perform two operation. One operation is this PS operation, another operation is VS operation. So in the VS operation, what will be the operation? Operation will be S plus 1. So what is this S? S is the semaphore. Suppose here S is a semaphore variable. Initially it may be 0. So now if we follow the last few classes, then you will see you already familiar with this particular loop. So in the concept of critical section problem, that's been when two process or multiple process concurrently execute, and more than one process is sharing a common section of code, that is called the critical section. So to overcome that critical section, then what type of problem may be arise? We already seen there may be the different type of problem may be arise for the critical section when the multiple processor concurrently wants to execute that critical section. Okay, then we seen how we can overcome that critical section problem, and to overcome that critical section problem, we seen that every process can be divided into different segment. One segment is the entry section, then the critical section, then the exit section, then the remaining operation. So if you follow the last 2 or 3 classes, then I think all the thing will be clear. So now those who already followed the previous classes, now it's clear to them that what is the purpose of this while loop. So what does it means? If a processor, if a process can satisfy this while loop, then it will be wait within the loop. তার মানে এই while loop টা, if this while loop is satisfied, the process cannot exit from the while loop. So if you want to exit from the while loop, you have to fail this condition. So that process who fail this condition, that process only can exit from the while loop. Otherwise, if you satisfy the condition, then you have to repeatedly executing the while loop. Got it? So I think this concept is clear in the previous examples. Now what happens? So this is the critical. This is called the semaphore variable. Got it? Now another important thing we have to understand. The semaphore variable have two operation. One operation is PS, another operation is VS. So one operation is PS, another operation is VS. So now this operation have how many statement? This operation have 2 statement, and this operation is 1 statement. But you have to remember that all this operation should be atomic. So this operation will be atomic. So all this operation should be atomic. So what do you mean by atomic? Atomic means when a processor will start this PS operation, then it cannot exit from the intermediate position. So it has to execute all these 2 statements. So after completing the whole operation, the process can exit from the PS operation. Got it? That's why it is called the atomic. Otherwise suppose this while loop and this statement, if we go into the assembly level structure, then we see that in the high level it only have two statements, but if we go into the assembly level, then in assembly level when the register operation will be done here, then you can write down so many statements for this particular two line. So from the starting of the critical section, how critical section will be started from the producer and consumer problem. So at first we see the producer consumer problem, and from the producer consumer problem we seen the count equals to count plus 1, count equals to count minus 1. From that topic how the critical section is coming. So if you follow all the classes, then every concept will be clear, every concept will be clear. So to clear the concept, only solution is the consistency and following all the classes. So it will not take too much time, too many times. So to cover this subject, I am not going to take 6 months or 8 months. Within 1 month a subject is going to be finished. So you should follow each and every class. So within a very short period of time, a very important subject you can prepare. And one thing you have to remember, you have to prepare all the questions that I am giving. So if you follow that instruction, every instruction you will follow, then in very short time you can prepare a very important subject like operating system. It is very important for computer science career as well as for interview purpose also. If you can say the operating system is your favorite subject, then definitely it's have a very positive pulse. Got it? So and I already told you what are the topics now we are discussing. These are the most difficult topic in the operating system. So in some few lectures what we are discussing, this is the most critical section of the operating system, and if when we overcome this section, then I think the remaining topic will not so difficult. It is very easy to understand. You will enjoy that. But these topics are very sensitive and very difficult. Most of the students skip this, but in interview respect, this is very important topic maybe. Okay. So now what will happen? So you cannot skip any operation intermediate. That's why it is called the atomic. That's why it is called the atomic, because when it is the preemptive scheduling. If the preemptive scheduling means you can release the CPU at any time. So when executing a process, executing all these two statements, so after executing the first statement, before executing the second statement, it can release the CPU. So that it will not be atomic. You have to finish all these two statements. That is called the atomic. So for semaphore variable, number 1, it is an integer variable. Number 2, it can perform two operations. One operation is PS operation, another operation is VS operation, and number 3, that is all these two operations will be atomic. So this is the definition perspective. This is the semaphore. Now we will understand what is the application of semaphore. So this is the semaphore is good, but how this semaphore will help us in our context. So now our context is that we are discussing the concurrent execution of the process, concurrent processing. So our topic, so from the few classes we are discussing the concurrent processing. So what are the different issues we can follow in the concurrent processing? Actually we are discussing all these things. So let's see what is the issues of the concurrent processing. So we already seen lot of issues in the concurrent processing, and we see that suppose there is a process P1 and there is a process P2. If these two processes execute concurrently, that means simultaneously or parallel. So concurrent, simultaneous, parallel, all these words are used interchange, same word, same to understand the same meaning. So when these two processes will be executed concurrently, then this process only can execute concurrently. There is some criteria. One of the criteria is mutual exclusion. Mutual exclusion is one criteria. Mutual exclusion. What is the mutual exclusion? Suppose this is the critical section. So the P1 will modify this section of the code. Suppose this is a section of the code. So and this processor also want to update this section, as well as this processor also want to update this section, then this will be the critical section. So as these two processes are using concurrently, executing concurrently, so at a time simultaneously if these two processes execute this critical section, then there will be problem. So either P1 will access this critical section or P2 will access the critical section. So all these things are discussing for the last few classes. So I think this is clear to everybody. So now this is called the concurrent execution, and one criteria is mutual exclusion. So either any of the process will get the critical section. So far, in the previous classes we find out the other solution, different solution, software and hardware solution to satisfy this mutual exclusion. Now today we will see using the semaphore how we can guarantee the mutual exclusion. So then if you want to use the semaphore to execute this this particular mutual exclusion solution, then you think that your semaphore name is mutex. Suppose your semaphore name is mutex. So mutex is a semaphore. Suppose you consider that mutex is a semaphore variable. Suppose mutex, so mutex is a semaphore variable. In the previous time I mentioned the one of the variable is s as the semaphore variable, so you can give any name. Suppose mutex is the semaphore variable, and initially this mutex value is 1. Suppose initially the value of the mutex is 1. So mutex isn't semaphore variable. You can say mutex, you can say s, you can say x, whatever the name you can give. I say the variable name is mutex, and this is a semaphore variable. Semaphore variable, okay, fine. And what is the initial value of mutex? Initial value of mutex is 1. Clear? Now suppose there are two processes. Pi and Pj. Suppose there are two processes. One process is Pi, another process is Pj. So in the Pi process, what will happen? So we already know that there is a critical section. Before the critical section, there is what will be there? Before the critical section, this is called entry section. And after the critical section, this is called the exit section. After exit section, this is remainder section. So if within the concurrent processing, the critical section problem is arise, critical section part is arise, then the process will be written in this format. In the previous examples also we already understood all these things. So a process will be divided into all this segment. So this is the critical section. Suppose critical section is present within your process. So this is your critical section. Before your critical section, whatever the code you will write, that is called the entry section. After the critical section, whatever the code you will be write, that is the exit section. And this is the remaining other code of the process. The process is called the remaining section. So what will be written in the entry section? I already mentioned in the previous classes. Then I am telling you what we will write in the entry section. We write in the entry section, that logic by which this process will decide whether it will access the critical section or it will not access the critical section. So whatever the code you will be write here, according to that logic, this Pi process can access the critical section or it cannot access the critical section. If it cannot access the critical section, then who will get the critical section? The other process. So either Pi will get the critical section or Pj will get the critical section. So within the PA process, all these things will be written. In the PJ process, all this entry section also will be there. So in a PI session, we'll write such code by which the PI process will decide whether PI will access the critical section or not. If PI cannot access the critical section, then who will access? Then if PJ is interested, to enter into the critical section, then PJ will access the critical section. So and that logic will be written again in the PJ processor code. Now suppose PI can access the critical section. After executing the critical section, when it exit from the critical section, while PI process will exit from the critical section, then in the exit section, that logic will be written by which the PI process will decide in next time who will get the critical section. Then PJ will get the critical section or not. This condition is for two process, but in the critical section there may be multiple process also. So there may be P1, P2, P3, P4 up to Pn. So if PI access the critical section, then when PI exit from the critical section, then PI will decide in the next time whether P2 will get the critical section, or P3 will get the critical section, or P5 will get the critical section. Type of decision will be written in the exit section. So in the previous classes we find out the different other solution to do all this purpose. Now today, as we learn the semaphore variable, using the semaphore variable we will see how we can write the entry section and exit section that can ensure the mutual exclusion. Got it? So using the semaphore, this thing should be very simple. You just call the P operation here. P is the operation. Of, we know that the semaphore has two operations. One is P operation and another is V operation. So in the entry section you have to call only the P operation. P, and what is the semaphore name? Semaphore name is mutex. Okay. So that's mean the P operation is called. And when it will be exit section, we will just call the V operation, V mutex. So just writing this simple code, we can ensure the mutual exclusion. How? You just remember the P operation. What will happen in the P operation? What was written in the P operation? In the P operation, this was written, the P mutex while mutex less than equals to 0, do skip, and mutex equals to mutex minus 1. So this was written in the P mutex P operation, and the V mutex V operation, what will be in the V operation? In the V mutex operation will be mutex equals to mutex minus 1, mutex plus 1. So here initially mutex is 1. So this is our solution. In our solution you think that you declare a mutex semaphore variable. You initialized this by 1. Now suppose P1 process and PJ process, PI process and PJ process, both are accessing, both wants to concurrently execute. So suppose among these two process, PI and PJ, any one access the P operation first, anyone execute the P operation first. Suppose PI process execute the P operation first. So initially mutex variable was 1. So according to the P operation, what will happen? While mutex less than equals to 0, do skip. That means if the mutex value is less than equals to 0, then you cannot exit from the while loop. But here, as the mutex equals to 1, as the mutex initialized as 1, so PI process when execute P operation, then that can break the while loop. Then that semaphore can break the while loop. So when it will break the while loop, then it will enter into the second statement. So what is the second statement? Mutex equals to mutex minus 1. So then it will be mutex will be 0, as well as it will be entry into the critical section. It will be entry into the critical section. So who will get the critical section? Who will get the access to the critical section? The PI will get the critical access to the critical section. Now what will be happen for the PJ? Suppose PJ now suppose PJ is accessing the P operation. This P and for suppose for so for better understanding, you say it as it is the P operation, so you can mismatch. So suppose you can say it SI, and this you can say SJ process and SI process. If it is the P, then the P operation, so it can be mismatched. So it is better, you can say this is the SI process and this is the SJ process. So when SI process at first execute the P operation, it can access to the critical section first. Now what will be happen for the SJ? Now when SJ will execute the P operation, then already mutex semaphore becomes 0, that is set by the PI. When PI execute the P operation, it makes the semaphore mutex equals to mutex minus 1. So from 1 it becomes 0 and it enter into the critical section. So when SJ wants to enter into the critical section, then when it call the P mutex function, then it will be find mutex less than equals to 0. It is satisfied. It will satisfy the while loop. When it will satisfy the while loop, it cannot exit from the while loop. That means it will execute within the while loop. So as SJ will be waiting within the while loop, it cannot access into the critical section. At a time only one process can access the critical section. So this way you can concurrently access the processes, and you can use the critical section by multiple process. So this way you can restrict among the processes those who want to access the critical section in simultaneously. This is the condition for the mutual exclusion. So mutual exclusion condition is nothing but this. So what is the mutual exclusion condition? What are the processes wants to access the critical section? You have to grant only one process at a time for the critical section. Critical section, within the critical section at a time multiple process cannot get the access, only one process can get the access. So through this logic we can ensure that within SI and SJ, when SI will access the critical section, SJ cannot access the critical section. Now when SI exit from the critical section and come into the exit section, then it call the vmutex operation. So what is the vmutex operation? Mutex equals to mutex plus 1. So now it makes the mutex semaphore variable into 1 until it was 0. For as the mutex was 0, that's why SJ are not getting the chance enter into the critical section. But when it becomes 1, that means when the purpose of the SI is filled up for the critical section, that means there is no use of the critical section of this particular process. Now any other process can enter into the critical section. Now in the while loop, the SJ was waiting to make the mutex into 1, because until the mutex is not getting 1, it cannot break the while loop. But when the mutex became 1, at that particular moment the SJ process that was waiting within the while loop, it break the while loop and can enter the critical section. Clear? So using the semaphore variable, we way we can ensure the mutual exclusion criteria. Clear? Now, in the previous class also we seen that to solve the critical section problem, for overcoming the mutual exclusion is not only one condition. You have to satisfy any other two conditions also. So what are the three conditions? So one condition is the mutual exclusion. To overcome the critical section problem, what are the conditions? One is called mutual exclusion, another is called progress, and another is called bounded weighting. So you have to satisfy all these things to find the solution for the mutex problem. Clear? So this is the mutex mutual exclusion solution for that. Now we will see the other application of semaphore variables. So this is one solution to ensure the mutual exclusion for the critical section is the one application for the semaphore variable. Now we will see the other application of semaphore variable. Other application of semaphore variable. The other application of semaphore variable is process synchronization. Clear? Process synchronization. So in the process synchronization, so what do you mean by the process synchronization? Suppose you know the precedence graph. Suppose there is an precedence graph SI arrow SJ. So what does it mean? It means that until the SI process is not over, then SJ cannot start. So if the SI process is not finished, then the SJ cannot start. Clear? So that's mean SJ is dependent on SI. So this is called the, so you have to synchronize these two processes. Suppose these two processes are execute concurrently. Suppose these are executing concurrently, but one process is dependent on another. Execution of one process depend on the execution of other process. Got it? That is called the process synchronize. That is called the synchronization problem. Now we will see using the semaphore how we can overcome the synchronization problem. So to overcome the synchronization problem, suppose you have a semaphore variable sync. You have a semaphore variable sync and initialized as 0. So sync is a semaphore variable, okay, and initially it's 0. And you have two processes, one is SI, another is SJ. One is SI, another is SJ. And what is the condition? If SI is not finished, then SJ cannot be started. If SI is not finished, the SI cannot be started. Okay. Now what will happen? Suppose this okay, so suppose this after executing the SI, the SJ will happen. So suppose this process called the B function, B semaphore sync. Suppose this process execute the B sync. So B sync operation is what? B sync operation is that if the semaphore variable is 0, B operation key, what it perform? It will perform synchronization equals to synchronization plus 1. That means it will increment the value of the semaphore variable. Clear? So initially the semaphore variable was 0. So when you call B sync, then what will happen? The sync variable now becomes 1. And suppose there is an p-sync. Suppose this is a process and this is a process. This process will execute the p-sync and this process execute the v-sync, and they simultaneously execute. Suppose consider that at first SI try to execute p-sync. Suppose consider the SJ try to execute p-sync. What is our condition? Our condition is that SJ cannot execute before SI, because SJ is dependent on SI. So anyway, you have to stop the execution of SJ before SI. So how we can achieve that using semaphore? If we use a p-sync operation, if we attach a p-sync operation, if we do the p-sync operation before this SJ process, then what will happen? When the SJ process call the p operation, then as initially synchronization variable was 0, so it will be waiting within the while loop, because what is the p operation? P operation, that semaphore variable less than equals to 0 do escape. It will be executed within the while loop. It cannot be out from the while loop. So it cannot execute from the while loop. It will be waiting within the while loop. Now at the same time, when SI will try to execute concurrently, then if it have V operation, V-sync, and V-sync, what the purpose of the V-sync? It will increment the synchronization semaphore variable by 1. So initially it was 0, now it becomes 1, So when SI will be execute, so at first SI will execute, then it makes the semaphore variable as 1. So when it will makes 1s, then only SJ can execute the operation. That's mean after executing SI, SJ will execute. So this synchronization, so this way, this is called the process synchronization. So this process synchronization is done using the semaphore. Clear? This is the another application of semaphore variable. Okay. Now we will see. So any question? So far we learned. Did you understand? Do you have any question? Hello? Can you hear me? Hello? All the things are clear? There is no problem? Okay, fine. Now suppose there are two process. Suppose there are two process. Clear? So there are two process. Suppose one is J1, another is J2. Suppose one is J1, another is J2. Clear? And this J1, suppose this J1 has multiple statement. Suppose this is the SI, this is SI plus 1, this is SI plus 2. So all these statements are for this particular process, and for this particular process is U1, U2, and suppose UJ plus 1, UJ plus 2. Suppose all these the statement for this particular process, and these two processes will execute concurrently. Clear? Concurrently. So in the previous problem you already seen that if there are two processes SI and SJ, and if there is an synchronization problem, then until the SI is not execute completely, that means when SI is not execute completely, then SJ cannot start. But you consider that suppose this is SI, suppose this is as we are writing SI, so that's why I am giving here J1. Suppose actually this is a process, this is another process, and suppose there is the condition is that this process is dependent on that process. That means at first we will execute this process, then only we can execute this process, and within this process there are multiple statement, and within this process there is multiple statement. Now if suppose there may be a synchronization in a particular statement, suppose within this process there are multiple statement, within a process there is multiple statement, but the synchronization is only this particular statement. That means when this uj statement will be executed, then only si statement will execute. Got it? So among these different statements, there is synchronization in a particular statement, not in every statement. That means si and ui can't execute concurrently. S2 and U2 can execute concurrently. All this statement and after this statement that can concurrently, because there is no dependency. But only this particular statement is depend on this particular statement on this process. Then the question is, we should stop as one statement is dependent on only one statement in another process. Then we should stop all the operation of this dependent process. Whether we will stop all the operation or we can concurrently execute up to this statement. So on particular statement where the synchronization is required, until that whether we can execute the statements of all this process concurrently or not. Got it? That is our question. Or the question is, can we execute that thing using semaphore? Yes. If we use the semaphore, then this kind of things can be happen. That's mean until the dependent statement is not coming, these two process can execute simultaneously, concurrently. And when there will be a synchronization, then we will stop the execution of this process. Then we stop this execution of this process. Why? Because if we are not executing uj statement of this process, then si cannot start. So at first you have to execute uj, then it will because there is some dependency for some values that after executing the uj, it will give some values to si, and then si can execute. So there is a dependency. So how we can implement these things using semaphore? So let's see. We also can do this if we insert a v operation here. So suppose here s is the semaphore variable. So suppose you are executing the v operation after uj operation, and you insert a p operation. You insert a p operation before this si statement. So before si, when it call ps, then suppose the semaphore variable initially is 0. So this will stop. It will cannot execute in the critical section. Then when after executing this uj, when it call v operation, then this semaphore variable will be increment and it will be 1. Then only this p operation will be execute and si statement will execute. Clear? So this way the synchronization can be performed. So these are the application of semaphore in the synchronization problem. Clear? Okay. So now as the last topic, we will see the another application of a synchronization variable. Okay, so suppose in the precedence graph. Now we remember the precedence graph. When we discuss the precedence graph and the parallel programming, now you can remember the precedence graph and parallel programming. I told you that if we have a precedence graph, then to write the parallel programming, you can use two type of construct. One construct is called fork join. One constructor is called fork join, and another construct is co-begin and co-end. And I already told that fork join is more powerful than co-begin co-end. What is the reason? Reason is that if you have a precedence graph, any precedence graph, you can write the parallel programming using fork join construct, but you cannot write the parallel program using co-begin co-end for all kind of precedence graph. for some selective precedence graph you can write the co-begin construct to write the parallel programming. And on that time I gave you an example of an precedence graph, and I told you that for this precedence graph you cannot write the co-begin and co-end structure, but you can write the fork join structure. But here we will see that for that particular precedence graph for which on that time we were not able to write the co-begin and co-end structure. Now using the semaphore we will be able to write down the co-begin and co-end structure for that particular precedence graph also. So what is that precedence graph? Let's see. So that precedence graph is this. Suppose the precedence graph is this. That is the S1. Suppose your precedence graph is S1. Suppose your precedence graph is this S1, then S2, S1, S2, S3, then S4, then S5, S6 and S7. So that was that precedence graph, and I told you for this particular precedence graph the co-begin co-end, using the co-begin co-end structure, the parallel programming, written of the parallel programming was not possible. But now we will see using the semaphore variable we can easily write down the parallel programming also. Clear? So let's see how we can write this. Okay, so what is our first process? Our first process is SI. So that's mean SI and S2 can't execute serially, but S2 and S3 will be execute concurrently, and S2 S4 can execute serially, but S5 S6 will execute concurrently, and S3, if S3 is not finished, so if you are not executing S3, until you are not executing the S3 you cannot execute S6, until you are not executing S4 you are not able to execute S6. So that means there is a synchronization, there was a synchronization, and we already learned that using the semaphore variable we can solve the synchronization problem. So that synchronization concept, that's mean calling of P operation and V operation, we will use in this example also, and using the P operation and V operation we will see how we can write the parallel programming. This is a very interesting concept. Let's just see it and try to understand this. It will be very interesting thing. So suppose your first process is S1. Your first process is S1. Okay. Now what will happen? If S1 is not finished, the S2 cannot start. If S1 is not finished, the S3 cannot start. So that's mean there is a synchronization between S1 and S2 and S1 and S3 synchronization. So what will happen if this is not execute fast? Then what will happen? After this statement we call a V function, and here the semaphore variable is a. Suppose your semaphore variable, so these are the variables, so semaphore variable is a, one semaphore variable is a, got it? So after this statement the VA function is called, okay. If VA function is called, then what will happen? To execute the S2, what will happen? Before the S2 you have to operate PA. So P is the semaphore, A is the semaphore. So S1, suppose this is S1 and this is S2, and what will written before? If S1 is if S2 is dependent on S1, then we will call a V function after this statement and call a P operation before this statement. Clear? So that is just written here. So after this SI VA, this is a semaphore call, VA operation is done, and before this S2 the PA operation is done. Clear? So now these two is synchronized. Now what will happen? Then S3, when S3 will be execute. So S3 can be execute after executing this one. So suppose you call another semaphore variable B. So VB, this is another semaphore variable. Okay, so this is another semaphore variable. So if S3, before the S3 execution, the PB operation will be done, then S3 will be, and S2, when S2 will be execute, S3 can execute serially. That's mean that particular process can execute S4 because it can execute serially. So after S2 you can execute S4. Now when you execute S4, S5 is depend on S4, synchronized. So there is a synchronization. S5 is depend on S4. So here you call another semaphore VC. Suppose the another variable is B, another variable is C. So VC. So now when we execute S5, before executing the S5, you have to execute PC, because this VC function is called for this particular statement, and then PC will be executed for this statement. Now suppose this, after executing the S4, S6 will execute. So for S6, suppose there is another semaphore variable D, so this will be VD, and so this will be PD. Clear? Now this 6 will be executed after S3. So S6 is depend on S4 as well as S3. So with S4 is done. So now it will be related with S3. So after S3 you call another semaphore variable E. So you can declare so many semaphore variable. So VE, so before S3, after S3 VE, so before S6 you have to call PE. So the PE operation will be called here PE, then S6. Clear? Now S7 will be executed after S5 and S6. So S5, so it will be VF, and so S7, before S7 you have to PF, and what will happen after S6? So suppose this is VG, and this is the PG. Got it? So then this is the end of this operation. Got it? So if we write this in this particular line, so this will be PG, PF, so it will be PF and PG and S7. Clear? So, and all this statement will execute concurrently, serially. They will be execute serially, and all these are child process. And this child process will be start with begin and end. It will be written within begin and end. So a process will be start with begin and end. So all these are the different process, and they are the child process, begin and end. This will be begin and end, and this will be begin, and this will be end, and this will be begin, and this will be end. Okay, and after that it will be co-begin. So co-begin is a construct. So co-begin is the parent process. Within that parent process, the child process will be execute, and all these child process can execute serially, but every child process is execute concurrently. That's mean this is a child process, every child process can concurrently. Got it? Concurrently, and using this PB and this semaphore call, P and V function operation call, it can maintain the synchronization. So all these child process will execute concurrently, but it should maintain all this synchronization concept. That's mean That's mean after, until the S1 is not execute, S2 cannot execute, or until S1 is not execute, S3 cannot execute. That thing will be maintained using this semaphore function, the semaphore variable call, semaphore variable operations. So when we use the semaphore variable operations, this synchronization will be maintained, as well as all this child process can execute concurrently, and this will be within a parent process. That parent process will be start with co-begin, and it will be end with co-end, and at the end, here at the end we will write co-end. So within co-begin and co-end we are writing, so these are the semaphore variables. So what are the variables? So you can write these variables before this co-begin also. So what are those variables? So variables are A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Okay, so all these are the what type of variable? They are semaphore. They are semaphore variable. So they are what type of variable? They are semaphore variable. Semaphore variable, and initially all will be assigned as 0. Initially all will be assigned as 0. So initially all will be assigned as 0, and this will be the, so this is the parallel program for this particular precedence graph. And before we seen that this precedence graph will not be able to convert it using the co-begin co-end, but where we use the semaphore, we easily can convert this precedence graph into parallel programming using co-begin and co-end structure. So all these are the different applications of semaphore variables.